I said, you know, the generational run I've been on, the money, the fame, I'll be honest with you. I made a lot of money this summer. I made a lot of money, and it feels good. And I got a lot of support this year. A lot of views, a lot of followers. I'll tell you something. A lot of people are saying, congratulations, I bet it feels good. I have lost any sensitivity to any of that. You want to know why? Because when I was 21 years old, I woke up one day and $500,000 was frozen in my checking account with no explanation. And my face went pale as a ghost. Because 4 months after that, I tried to get on an airplane, and they told me, you're not allowed to fly today. And I was on the no-fly list for a year. Because I had to spend $250,000 that year just to stay out of prison and hire very expensive attorneys. Because I thought I was facing some kind of charge from the Biden administration. That was the possibility back then.
Nick is torching them live.
Because I had already lost my YouTube channel. I had already lost my Twitter account, my PayPal. I had been betrayed by my best friends before in high school and in the Groyper movement.
Emergency.
So now I'm getting a little bit of notoriety. I'm making a little bit of money. I'll tell you something, it doesn't make a fucking difference to me. And if they ban me tomorrow, and if they froze my money tomorrow, I would go back on Cozy TV, live at 8 o'clock, or midnight, or 3 a.m., or whenever I feel like it. Because I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for the fame or the notoriety. I'm not even doing it to be liked. I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you give me adulation or praise.
Milo's
I'm doing it because at 18 years old, I tried to tell the truth about Israel. And from the very beginning, I got screwed over by these fucking people that hate our country. I'm just doing it for pleasure at this point.
Wow.
I am just doing it for the pleasure, for being a human wrench thrown into the system. That's why I do this. I'm not like Candace Owens, who made $45,000 suing her high school fellow students because they left a racist voice message on her voice machine on her phone in 2017. And then went on to Blexit, and then went on to Social Autopsy, and then went on to this, that, and the other. Not like Tucker Carlson, who's playing a game. Let me tell you something. I am doing it for the kick, for the pleasure of wiping the smirk off of Charlie Kirk's fucking small, ugly face.
Yo!
I am doing it for the pleasure of shutting down Ben Shapiro and Jonathan Greenblatt and the ADL. All these people that said, Chicago doesn't matter. You're just some kid from Chicago. All these people that said,
I love this kid.
I support America because America supports Israel. These people that said, if we set up the Constitution on a desert island, that would be America. Go ahead. Try me. Do it. Seriously. We could run it all over again. I didn't come this far after 10 years to now start playing fucking games.
I love this kid so much.
This is my entire adult life. I'm in it.
Oh my God. I am so turned on right now.
Want.
Not that I'm attracted to him, I'm not, but this is great.
Say what you want, destroy my reputation. Nothing will stop me.
No one start rumors.
Nothing will stop America first. There has to be one righteous person in this country.
And I had to go live.
And I'm not even saying it's me. I don't even think I'm a very good person, necessarily. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm not doing it for the reasons everybody else is doing this stuff.
I didn't know Nick was going to be this fired up.
Because I've met them all, and I know them all. And they're all full of shit.
Real.
There's got to be one real nigga. Can the real nigga please stand up? There has to be one real nigga left in America, in this damn country. Are there any real niggas left that aren't doing advertisements for gold and fucking pills? Are there any real niggas left?
So good at what he does.
That actually got censored and banned on YouTube? Where's the real niggas?
Yeah,
and I'll die just to inspire another generation of them.
Well. Nick might end up being a martyr.
I'll tell you who's a real nigga. Kanye West. Ye is a real nigga. I'm another kid from Chicago like him. I'm a real nigga. And I know that with everything I've done to this point, notwithstanding whatever happens tomorrow or the next day or any other day, I know there's 1,000 real niggas that are inspired by watching the show. And they may have a lot of people fooled. Maybe in the end of it, they'll have a lot of people fooled. Maybe they'll get you to think I'm a horrible person, whatever. I know there's at least 1,000 real-ass niggas that watch the show, are smart enough to understand what I'm saying. They're going to take this information, and they're going to blow up the second Death Star, whether I'm here to see it or not.
Hey, Kino.
That's the game. It's a game of generations. What do you think it means when I say this is an intergenerational battle?
No. Oh, I thought it was from.
It means it doesn't live and die with me. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about what's right. It's about the truth. It's about America. Fundamentally, it's about Jesus Christ and who rejected him. And how they can never get to the truth. They can never get to God without him. And what they're inflicting on the country as a result of that. So anyway, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna dive into all this.
Yeah, let's dive into all of it.
Before we do, remember to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Bring it on. Bring it on. I will keep delivering generational monologues. The generational run will not stop. You think your little games playing around, that's interesting. Oh, we're going to impugn his motivations. You think that's going to stop me? Really?
No.
Nothing stops a generational run. You know what my name is? Look up what my name means. I'm the people's champion from birth. That's on Groyper. Anyway. Smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show.
This is live.
Check out the Sam Hyde collaboration finally dropped over the weekend. Talk about wholesome. That's a real nigga as well. Love that man. Sam Hyde. My biggest inspirations, Sam Hyde, Donald Trump, Alex Jones. These are real niggas. But the Sam Hyde interview dropped. Everybody's loving it. You know, people are talking about the fit. I was wearing this like leather jacket.
He looked good in that interview. It was a good jacket.
His idea.
It's
so credit
really
where it's due.
Good jacket, actually.
But I hope you check it out. It's on YouTube. I reposted. I think it's just like a trailer for it on Twitter. But everybody was loving it. And it was really great to sit down with him. I haven't done any collaboration with Sam in like 5 years. Since January 2020. That's when we did the Q video, the Ronald McDonald. So it was kind of a special thing because in many ways we've both been through a lot of the same stuff. We both were based and really on the same page back in 2017. And then we both got canceled for our politics. And I know we both grappled with this, like, trying to survive under censorship and pressure to conform and things like that. So it was like a real recognized real moment. And the whole crew is great there. I met the whole crew. Those guys are all phenomenal, all really funny.
Yeah.
Ryan, I've known a long time. He is just one of the finest people
goes live this early.
Ever.
Yeah, exactly. He has
seriously, Ryan Rivera, who used to work with Gavin, now works with Sam. I've known him for, 7 years, and that is one of the realest guys out there, real homie. But they're all phenomenal. So anyway, so go ahead and check that out. That's on YouTube. And I guess we'll dive into the show. So now, look, I am actually going to dive into some of the information tonight. We're going to unpack all the allegations. We'll talk about the whole thing. We'll talk about it in its totality, in a holistic way. So nobody can accuse me of pivoting or deflecting with rhetoric. I mean, everything I said at the top of the show is true. But we are actually going to address the allegations. We're going to break it down piece by piece. We're going to go over some of the evidence. And I will not tell the whole thing from start to finish because it's a super long story. But we'll go over the most important stuff in detail. I'll bring the receipts as I promised I did. But then we'll get through to what is really motivating this, because obviously this is like, everybody can see what is happening. It is just undeniable. I was the most suppressed person for 10 years. Everyone knows that. People were afraid to say my name. They were afraid to be in pictures with me. I was the boogeyman in conservative politics for literally a decade. This much is not disputed. I am literally banned on everything. I am banned on Airbnb. I am banned on email octopus. I am banned from Chase Bank, Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Fifth Third Bank, Inland Bank, PayPal, Stripe, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Elon won't let me have a check mark on Twitter, even though I'm on there. It's endless. Ashley St. Clair, she got fired from her job as a Turning Point ambassador because she was in a photograph with me. I went at a meeting at the inside Austin, Texas, at the Pale Horse offices. They photographed me leaving the building. Somebody lost their job over that. The Texas state legislature passed a bill condemning me and anti-Semitism because I was photographed leaving an office building.
Yeah, I remember that. That's crazy.
There was a guy who was nominated for a Senate confirmation position in the White House a couple weeks ago. He lost the nomination because he watched one of my speeches. This happened last week. And I don't want to, draw any heat on this guy. But there was literally a Senate confirmation level position in the White House. The guy was nominated for some position, I think,
how's that?
Lead counsel for DHS.
That might be real
He
loud,
lost the
whatever.
job. Excuse me. Because last year he was outside a speech that I was giving at AFPAC 4. And so the story of the summer is that being the boogeyman for 10 years, obviously there's a reason. The ADL, the SPLC, Media Matters, Right Wing Watch, they created this dossier on me over the years,
it's because
accusing
Nick
me of being the
their
furthest
game.
right person in politics. The arch racist, the arch Nazi, the arch anti-Semite, white nationalist. They said I'm influencing the kids, I'm subverting the movement, I'm spreading my tentacles in electoral politics. Excuse me. They said all this about me. And now, this summer, all of a sudden, I'm blowing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Undeniably. Everybody's talking about me. I'm going on all these shows. Mainstream shows with Nelk, with Bradley Martin. I'm getting defended by mainstream people. And now, the answer to all of this is, how do we put the genie back in the bottle? Did you think this was all going to happen bloodlessly? Did you think all this was going to happen peacefully? That Nick Fuentes goes from being the most canceled to being mainstream, and that's it? You think these forces that got me destroyed over the past 10 years are going to say, oh, well, yeah, he broke containment. Well, this is going to suck for us. And we're talking powerful people. We're talking about Arthur Schwartz, a fixer for Don Jr., who got me kicked out of YouTube in 2020. We're talking about Charlie Kirk, the bag man for Trump. We're talking about the ADL, the SPLC. Powerful people got me, at the time I was a kid. I was 18. Powerful people got me destroyed the first time. Now that I'm becoming popular, do you think those same powerful people are going to say, oh, well, guess he's popular now?
Oh,
no.
They're going to hate him even more.
So the question was always going to be, and this was in the back of my mind, when's the next shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
Okay, things are getting good. My show's huge, making tons of money, making inroads. What are they going to do next? Now it's a smear campaign. And so I want to start in the beginning of the story to how we got to today. We'll address the allegations, and then we'll talk about what's really motivating the allegations. That's the structure of the show. So how did we get here? Well, back in June, when the United States and Israel went to war with Iran, I had the biggest show in all of streaming, literally. In the middle of June, Israel bombs Iran. Israel goes to war with Iran. Now, I had predicted this in 2024. Notably, I was one of the only people on our side that did not vote for Trump and then encouraged other people not to vote for Trump. And I did it for specific reasons. And a few of them were as follows. I said, don't vote for Trump. He's going to bring us to war in Iran. He is not going to follow through on mass deportations. I said, and most importantly, or maybe as importantly, with the nomination of J.D. Vance and the penetration of the Trump movement by Silicon Valley, I said MAGA is no longer what it was in 2016. Now, this is important stuff because I said in 2024, last year, I said the value proposition of Trump in 24 is fundamentally different. In 2016, Trump said, no lobbyists, no super PACs, no donors. I'm your voice. It was Trump against the whole world. Trump against the corruption, against the special interests, the lobbyists, the donors. It was like a Caesar-like moment, a Mussolini moment. The premise of Trump 16 is that he was going to reach into the country, as he said at his announcement speech, he was going to literally take the country and make it great. That's what he said. I alone. America needs a leader. I will literally take this country and make it great again. And understand the subtext. The subtext was anti-corruption. MAGA was a populist anti-corruption campaign. He was the people's champion. He said, I am the people's voice. He said, Americans don't come first because the lobbyists, special interests, the donors, foreign countries, multinational corporations, international banks are being put first. He said, but I'm not controlled by them. I will take the country. I will make it great. Such a powerful idea. It didn't happen. He sold out immediately. Maybe the whole thing was fake. But who did he put in charge of his cabinet? Rex Tillerson, Steve Mnuchin. Terrible people, swamp creatures. The administration was filled up with Bush alum, Rubio alum. Reince Priebus was the chief of staff. It was terrible. So the anti-corruption never happened. We achieved some modest reforms. It wasn't all bad. But the premise of 16 was that Trump would be a true tyrant. That like Caesar, he would intervene personally to save the republic from himself. I was on board with that, but it did not happen. He empowered many of the oligarchs, different oligarchs, new oligarchs, some old oligarchs, but he empowered them and achieved modest reforms indistinguishable from what any other Republican would have done. He cut the corporate tax rate, moved Israel's embassy. It did some minor stuff on the border. It was negligible.
That was funny.
Appointed Federalist Society judges to the Supreme Court. Wasn't a revolution. Okay. 2024, who enters the fray? Well, now all of a sudden you have Elon Musk giving Trump billions, nearly $1 billion. Elon gives Trump nearly $300 million.
This is an impromptu stream, so.
Tim Mellon, a banker, gives Trump $200 million. Miriam Adelson, an Israeli spy, gives Trump $100 million. Okay? And who is their guy? Elon's guy, Silicon Valley's guy,
yeah, me too.
Wall Street's guy is J.D. Vance.
Mount the like button if you want a fascist dictator in
now, more on that later.
Right now.
But that was a big reason. I said because Vance was the congenital, archetypal never-Trumper. He was selling this book. They made a Netflix documentary about him. He's at the Aspen Institute. Google what that is. He's being promoted by Peter Thiel and David Frum. He comes from Yale Law School. And this guy was put as the vice president. Very problematic. Now, that's a little preview for a little prefiguring of what we'll talk about later. But for these reasons, I did not vote for Trump vocally. I said Trump is going to bring us to war with Iran. He is not going to deport anybody. And maybe most importantly, Vance is bad news. Vance is the VP. That's a betrayal of everything. Extremely important. Now, because of this prediction, because I isolated myself, I was the only one. Who else did not vote for Trump? Who else was actually against Trump? I mean, in the end, many people wound up voting for him.
I'm just saying, I voted for Nick.
And that is why
I didn't vote for Trump.
In June of this year, when the bombs started falling in Iran, Israel's war, I started to attract tons of success.
Did anyone else vote for Nick?
When Israel bombed Iran,
One in the chat
I had 50,000 live viewers on my stream because I predicted it. That's why. I predicted it because I was right about Israel in the first place, going all the way back. I was right about Vance and Trump. I was right about so many things. Everybody wanted to see my take. And people watched my coverage of the Iran war for 2 weeks. And the opinion towards me started changing. They said, this guy's very informed. I don't even agree with all his other politics, but he's giving the best analysis. He's super bright. Fast forward a week later, the United States enters the conflict on a Saturday night. The U.S. bombs Iran. That night, on an impromptu stream, I had 70,000 live viewers.
That's crazy.
It was the biggest live stream that night. Period. That was the biggest news live stream covering the attack on Iran that was happening at that time anywhere on the internet. It was the following morning that Candace Owens texted me. The following morning. Okay?
Of course
now,
it was.
Up until this point, over the last half of the year,
is a narcissist
my clips are blowing
been.
up on Instagram. They're getting millions of views. My clips are blowing up on TikTok. They're getting millions of views. It's a phenomenon. My show is blowing up. I have the biggest live stream in the country, and people are saying, this is the best thing we've seen.
One in the chat if Candace can go fuck herself.
The day after my biggest live stream to date, Candace Owens texts me and says, you got to come out and do a show immediately.
Uh-huh.
I go on her show a few days later on a Wednesday.
And she nags him.
So America hit Iran on Saturday. She hits me up on Sunday. I fly out Wednesday. I'm there for her show.
Yeah, lots of ones.
Now, do we talk about the war with Iran? No, not at all. We're in the middle of a war with Iran. We both got canceled for talking about Israel's wars. We don't talk about it even at all. We don't talk about us getting canceled. There's no leveling about that.
Such a great
don't talk about the guy trying to kill me at my house in December. We don't talk about me getting my Twitter account back last year. We don't talk about Trump at all. Zero. She presses me about why I hate Jews. She says, you hate Dave Smith for being Jewish.
Candace is such a bitch.
She says, you're a racist because you don't support interracial marriage. It's a hit piece.
She's a leftist.
I asked her before I came out there. I said, is it going to be friendly? Is it going to be hostile? Are we going to talk about Iran? She goes, I don't do setups. Then she's got all these pre-planned clips where she says, you hate Jews. Here's the clip. You hate Dave Smith for being Jewish. You hate interracial marriages because you're a racist. Okay. Now, the thing backfires spectacularly. And it's weird. It's weird. Because you would think that Candace Owens got canceled by Daily Wire. So did I. You'd think we're both outspoken about what's happening in Gaza and Iran.
She absolutely
did. You'd think we talk about that, but we don't. She brings me out, it seems like, for no reason other than to try to attack me from a new angle. And the angle seems to be, look, I'm talking about Zionism. You're an anti-Semite that hates Jews for being Jewish. Very bizarre. And she puts it behind a paywall.
Period.
And she goes after anybody that posts the interview.
Strike.
Copyright strike.
Yeah, she gave me a copyright strike.
And it seems like what she wanted to do was to not give me the exposure. She wanted to fly me out, do a hit job, and then hide it behind a paywall so that I wouldn't get the exposure from being on her platform and gain an audience. And she has me out to kind of press me and make me look like some bitter anti-Semite.
And
that
wanted
seemed
to
be the program.
Nick's audience.
And that was the consensus. You can look at any comment section on any re-upload of the video. That's the consensus. She's going to anyone who will listen and complain. She's saying, I'm lying about this. Every comment section where this has been re-uploaded says it was combative, it was hostile. She wasted the 2 hours talking about drama, all the rest of it. Whatever. It is what it is. Whatever you think about that, whatever. But the timing's conspicuous. A couple weeks later, she goes on a show with Tucker Carlson. And Tucker, who has never said my name before, ever, he covered me being put on the no-fly list, but didn't say my name. He covered the Groyper War, but didn't say my name. You can find the clips. They're out there. Tucker was involved in a hit piece against me in 2023, but never said my name and was never publicly involved in it.
Guys, please like the video.
And yet, for the first
Get
time
more people on
ever,
the stream, like the video,
he brought
thumbs
up
up
my
the video.
name. He brought it up in his interview with Candace.
There's a huge
after
disparity
her little
between
hit
the people
job
watching
backfired.
and the people who've liked the video. Come on.
And for the first time, he says my
I'll
name.
stop yapping
and
if
he
you guys
says
like
that
the
I'm
video.
a CIA agent. He says that I knew about Tucker's dad being in the CIA before he did. A demonstrable lie. You know how the story goes already.
There should be at least 100 more likes on this video.
He says, I didn't know my
now.
dad
Come
was
on.
in the CIA until this year.
I
But
will
there's a
turn
clip
down
from
the
a year
volume.
ago, from 10 years ago, where he obviously knew.
We need to see the likes on the video come up. Come on. Everyone do it. There need to be significantly more likes. You can go to Rumble and watch this. I'm restreaming this on YouTube. How many other people are restreaming Nick on YouTube live? Like the video. Get more people in here.
Wish.
That's
even
the
though he's
rule.
against Zionism. And Tucker echoes this critique. And think about the timing of this. My biggest show ever, she hits me up the next day. All of a sudden, she wants to do a show. She refused obstinately to talk to me for years. Her entire career, and then for a year and a half since she got fired. The day after my biggest show ever, she wants to do a show, and it's a hit piece.
Bye.
The hit piece backfires. Then she does an interview with
shut
Tucker
up on my own
for the
channel.
first
You can
time
go fuck
ever.
yourself.
He says
Just
my
like
name,
Candace.
and it's this full frontal attack on my reputation, calling me a Fed and echoing her critique, saying I'm a real hater of Jewish people, not a good faith critique of the neocons like Dave Smith, you, me, Joe Kent, and J.D. Vance, was Tucker's response. Now this backfires even bigger. And everybody and their brother says, even if I like Tucker,
Thank you,
Nick
Gothic.
raised some very good points about him. I
Hey,
do this
you can go
blowout
over to,
show.
Nick's
It gets
channel and
almost
watch
a
that.
million
Goodbye.
views. Everybody loves it. Even
Bye.
people that are friends with
Bye.
Tucker are calling me privately and saying it was dishonorable what he did. You are 100% right. You killed it. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular because like a fucking dozen mutual friends said this to me. Now fast forward after that, Candace Owens has Milo Yiannopoulos on her show.
That was
Milo, who
weird.
3 years ago,
That was
Candace
so
Owens
weird.
said was deranged, a psychopath, traffics in blackmail. Milo accused Candace Owens' husband of being gay for 5 years. He said that Candace was George Farmer's beard and it was an arranged marriage. Candace called me up during the A24 campaign and said, you need to get rid of Milo. He's going to ruin Kanye. He's going to ruin Ye. All of a sudden, she has Milo on her show. Does she confront him about blackmail, about him being a federal informant? Does she
No.
confront him about his accusations about her husband? She claims to be this,
two
trad
rules,
wife,
new
make
people.
him a sandwich.
2 rules.
She's going to call me out on everything. She call out Milo, calling her husband gay, who pays for the roof over her head where the interview's conducted?
Sorry,
No.
Reagan.
Then a week later, Elon Musk is replying to Milo.
Yeah, that
Milo
was so
is
fucking
doing
weird.
spree
Elon
on
just
Twitter,
inserted himself.
accusing me of everything under the sun, as he always does. I'm a liar. I'm not an artist. My no-fly list was fake. My money forfeiture was fake. The no-fly list thing was under different pretenses. You're a federal informant, but also you're not smart enough to be an informant. And Elon Musk is replying to this, calling me a Fed. Elon, why is he looking at Milo's timeline? Why is he weighing in on me now?
Seriously?
A week after Candace had Milo on her show.
Why does anyone listen to Milo?
Elon, who I haven't had an interaction with him in 7 months.
Milo is a proven liar.
And he is echoing what Tucker said, which is that I'm some intelligence asset. Now, I'm gonna address the allegation, but first I have to set this up and show you this is a little bit strange. Candace Owens, who worked for Daily Wire, Turning Point USA, who took a check from Dennis Prager, who was run by Israeli intelligence. Tucker Carlson, whose dad ran the CIA's propaganda empire. Elon Musk, who is a literal defense contractor, whose Starshield, his Starlink Starshield defense system is the basis for U.S. fifth generational warfare. If you look at any Russian commentary on the war in Ukraine, they say the biggest advantage of the U.S. military, Elon Musk's Starshield. Elon Musk, who all of his people are in the Department of Defense. Elon runs the DOD. Elon's a defense contractor. His SpaceX rocket ships, his Starshield satellites power the U.S. military. And Milo, who is a federal informant, who is literally, you can Google Milo federal informant. It's on the record. These are the people who have been in politics for so many years. None of them, by the way, even from America. Like, think about this.
Yeah, real.
Elon Musk, not from America. He's from South Africa. Candace Owens' husband, George Farmer, not from America. Milo, not from America. And Tucker Carlson, who spends all his time in Hungary with Viktor Orban, in Argentina with Javier Milei, two Philo-Semites. Tucker, whose dad is flying with him to Vietnam with John McCain, and Pakistan and Nicaragua with the Contras. These are billionaires, multimillionaires, people that weren't born in America, people that serve at the pleasure of billionaires like Rebecca Mercer, like Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, he's a once-in-a-generation mind.
The list goes on and on. Elon Musk himself.
I'm so glad I figured this out 2 years ago.
And these 4 people are calling me, the guy from Chicago. I grew up in LaGrange Park in a $300,000 house. I went to public school. My dad worked for the tollway in the city. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Neither of them went to college. I went to Boston University and started an internet show and dropped out. And the richest man in the world, Tucker Carlson, who's at Fox News, whose dad ran the CIA, they're calling me controlled opposition. I'm the asset.
Yeah,
okay.
Seriously. It's so
That's
stupid.
rich.
Only retards.
And by the way, none of them wanted anything to do with me. Candace doesn't want to do a show with me until I'm more famous than ever. Tucker doesn't want to say my name until a week after that backfired. Elon, for some reason, enters the fray after that backfired. But this is all totally organic, and they definitely believe what they're saying.
Yep.
They definitely believe what they're saying, and it's all authentic.
Nick is right.
Yeah. They're the champions of the people. They're definitely against Israel. Elon Musk, that was at Auschwitz and then had a personal private tour by Bibi Netanyahu looking at the evidence of Hamas's terrorism. Tucker Carlson, who said, I spoke to my friends in the Israeli government and told them, I'm not your enemy. Candace Owens, who says it's not the Jews, it's the Frankists, it's the Khazarians. Milo, who on the show with Candace said, I talked to my friend in Israeli intelligence. Yeah, these 4 people are telling the truth.
Totally.
Nothing weird going on there. These 4 people that are deeply in bed with America's oligarchs, These four people who are all conspicuously tied to foreign countries, these four people that are all tied to Israel, Milo's lobbying firm, go look at the website. It's Karen Giorno, an Israel firster who ran Laura Loomer's campaign. It's Ron Coleman, an Orthodox Jew lawyer, and the biggest rabbi in Omaha, Nebraska.
No shit, I didn't know that. Ron
These
Coleman's
are the
involved
people
with
that are accusing me.
That makes
they have
so
something to
much
say
sense,
about
actually.
me. Really? Okay, well, let's talk about the allegation. We'll pull it up. We'll show you all the receipts right here. You want an answer? I'll give you the answer. We'll look at the tweets first. I'll pull them up for you right now. This is Elon Musk's tweet. So here's Milo. He's replying to a video of me where I said, "We are taking the Capitol back. Keep marching. Don't relent. Break down the barriers and disregard the police. This Capitol belongs to us now. How has he not been arrested?" Says the commentator. By the way, the commentator, whose profile picture is J.D. Vance. It's interesting. Who has also blocked this burner account. Milo writes, "No charges, because Nick was one of the 30 or so confidential informants working for the FBI on January 6th to entrap Trump voters. His victims were tortured for years in jail. 5 are dead." My victims were tortured in jail and died. Elon Musk replies, drawing attention to it, obviously. Milo replies, "I recommend looking over Nick's account for evidence of botting, paid engagement over the past year. You may be the only person who can figure out who's pulling the strings of this nasty little weirdo. Maybe it's still his best mate, the banned pedophile, Ali." So now it's a call for sense. Do you see how this works? I'm on a generational run. They bring up this lie from 5 years ago. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, you need to ban him. It's all bot networks. All those people that are saying it is about the Jews. We don't want Israel controlling our government. The Jews have too much power because they're bringing us into a war with Iran. J.D. Vance is an agent of the deep state. He's a fake. He's an artifice. Tucker's dad ran the CIA. Anyone who's interested in that, they're all bots. They're all bots. They need to be shut down. Nick Fuentes needs to be shut down. They all need to be censored.
Yep.
You see? There's another tweet. I'll go back to my timeline. Milo writes in the second tweet today, "I remember when Nick had his money frozen by the DOJ. Ask him how he got them to unfreeze it. Answer, informing. Then ask when it was unfrozen. Ask for proof. He was lying to fans every day, taking cash off teens, claiming his account was frozen 6 months after he got it back." Elon says, "Doesn't make sense the FBI leaves Fuentes alone, unless he's an asset of some kind." Well, let me tell you what happened to me after. Well, let's actually just start from the beginning. I'm going to reveal some never before seen screenshots. I'm going to tweet them right now. I'm going to post them on Twitter, and we'll read along for you to see. I'm going to post the screenshots of what Milo himself said to me on January 5th, 2021. And I'm going to write from Milo accusing me of being a federal informant after January 6th. And I'm going to make sure I have all the screenshots, and then I'm going to read them to you. And you can all read them. You can all read along. Never before seen.
Never before seen. Breaking news. Breaking news.
You know, the good thing about telling the truth is you never have to worry about getting caught up in all the lies.
Breaking news.
That's a good thing. You know, when you're a liar, you have to worry about text messages from 4 years ago because the story's always changing.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Based
Just
on
play
what
it
suits.
straight every time. Play it straight, and you
But
never
first,
have to
let's
worry
start
about
with the
this
text
shit.
messages from Milo.
Let me see.
This is January 5th, 2021. I said, "Hey, what did the feds say to you?" Apparently, Baked Alaska got a visit as well. On January 5th, the day before J6, Milo posted on his Telegram channel that the feds
This is
told
live
him
right
something
now.
about January 6th.
This is live. I heard some of your
Milo
space
replied,
later or earlier. It was really
lots
good.
of Proud Boys are getting them. I think they're trying to keep obvious targets away. It would not serve their cause if Enrique or Gavin or I were killed. It might actually kick off a right-wing riot at last. It would not serve the federal government's interests if Milo, Gavin, or the Proud Boys were there at J6. That's why they were warned. They want Republicans simmering, not boiling. Just between us, I was given a friendly warning that no law enforcement agency would be able to guarantee my safety. They basically said, we're asking you not to go. If you insist, it may become an instruction, meaning an insurrection, I think is what they meant. Or rather, they're ordering him not to go if he means instruction. We're asking you not to go if you insist, it may become an instruction. The FBI is telling him, you are hereby ordered not to go to J6. This is the day before.
That's crazy.
No one knew what was going to happen. No one knew there was going to be a riot. This is the afternoon of January 5th. And Milo says the feds told him, don't go. If you insist on going, we will order you not to go to January 6th. He says, looks like Enrique just got banned from the entire District of Columbia. I said, shit, okay. Thanks for telling me that. I'll keep it between us. Well, in case you lie about it 4 years later. I agree with what you said on Telegram. Something's up. I have a bad feeling about this one. Unmatched perspicacity. Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet. He stands there unfazed. I said, I'm going to go to the Trump rally at the Ellipse and then get out of Dodge. He said, that would be smart. Don't be out at night, whatever you do. And honestly, I would just not be out and about. You are recognizable enough now. Rally and fuck off is smart. I said, yup. Too much funny business going on to play around. Milo said, I've heard of 5 Proud Boys so far who got visits from the feds this morning. Mostly New York guys who weren't home or already left for D.C. who had it on their Ring cameras or their wives answered. I said, do you know if the feds had a similar message for them? He said, asking. Don't feel left out. I said, I'm happy to be left out. LOL. Okay?
Yeah.
This is the person accusing me of being a federal informant or asset.
And then Elon Musk replied
during,
to him.
before, or after January 6th. Somebody who literally received a tip the day before, along with apparently a dozen other people that were told, don't go to January 6th. That's what they were told. This is the person accusing me. So just so you understand, this is not even a good faith accusation. Milo has accused me of a lot of things over many years.
I'm keeping it just
your
me tonight,
viewership's
guys.
botted. Your Twitter's botted. You've embezzled money.
It's just to hear Nick.
You are a dick to your followers. You're a bad boss. You're a fed. You're an informant. You're not an artist. You're this, you're that. You're with Ali. Wow. Around and around and around it goes.
Who could have seen that?
If somebody is just flinging shit at you constantly, looking for something to stick.
No one could have seen that coming.
That's a political attack. That's not somebody that's investigating the truth. Somebody that has, and if you look at Milo's timeline, it's literally just thousands of tweets about me every day for years. Every accusation under the sun.
Milo
but looks like we found one that might work. This one's convenient. That's what it is.
Yep.
And this is the person saying it. He was talked to by the feds himself. Now, let me tell you what happened to me on January 6th. I went to the speech on the Ellipse. Mm-hmm. I had a VIP pass. I took Vince James. I took a friend of mine, and we were at the speech on the Ellipse. Now, I did not plan to go to the Capitol building. I had plans all throughout that day. I was going to do an interview with Alex Jones that night. I was going to have dinner with a couple of friends of mine at an Italian restaurant. I had plans all throughout the night on January 6th. I had no plans of even being at the Capitol building. But I was behind Alex Jones when the speech happened, and somebody came up and said, Alex Jones is going to lead the march with President Trump to the Capitol. Trump himself said, we are going to march peacefully and make our voices heard at the Capitol. So I thought everybody was going. So I walked with the crowd to the Capitol. I took a bunch of pictures of my friends. And then somebody said, you got to give a speech. Because I gave speeches at all the other events. I went to Lansing, Atlanta, Harrisburg, Phoenix. I went to the Million MAGA marches, of which there were 2. And I gave these big speeches at all of them. I gave speeches at the U.S. Capitol, the state capitals, the governor's mansions. And so somebody said, you got to give a speech. I said, yeah, all right. Can someone find me a megaphone? And somebody goes on it. And they ran, they grabbed a megaphone.
Hey, thank you.
I jumped up,
Appreciate
and I'll
it.
show you where I was. I'll show you precisely where I was. This is important evidence.
He wasn't even near the building.
We're getting into the nitty-gritty here. I said, all right, now this is where I was. Take a look at where I am. You can see very clearly where I was on the Capitol complex. This is me with the megaphone right here. That's Vince. That's my friend, former friend.
Jaden. Judas.
Now just soak in where I am. Look at this location.
He was nowhere near the building.
In context of where the Capitol building
Nowhere
is.
near it.
Now, if you look and pay attention, on the Capitol complex, I was right here.
Yeah, he was
At the I think it's called the Circle of Peace. I was right here giving that speech. And if you look it up, the Peace Circle. This is the Peace Circle.
I've been
That is the
accused of being a Fed
statue
before. This is not the first time.
where I
All
gave
right,
the
not
speech.
sticking
Now, look
for
at the picture here.
You think you're
Okay,
original?
you can see.
You're not. Look at my timeline. I posted it a bit
This
earlier.
is the Peace Circle.
James Lindsay said I was a
This is
Fed
the
because he couldn't get
video.
me banned on YouTube.
That is the statue where I was. It's the
Yeah,
same
for
statue. Now, if you look at a map, it is 500 feet from the Capitol building. 500 feet from where the building actually is.
And that's a long way, too.
Now,
I was
everybody
there
that
on
got
January
arrested,
6th. That's a
either
long way.
two or three things were true about them.
They went in the building.
There were close to 2,000 people that got charged on January 6th, and one of 3 things was true about all of them. They were either charged with trespassing because they were on restricted grounds. They were charged with some form of violence or vandalism because of an altercation with media or police, or they broke something. Or third, they were involved in a militia. Out of 2,000 defendants, one of those things is true about all of them. This is the yellow line is where the barricades were. I was not on restricted grounds. These are the restricted grounds. I was not on them. I was 500 feet from the building. When I said take down the barricades, disregard the police, I was talking about the barricades on the lawn here. And by the way, nobody on the lawn even got charged. Nobody that was on the lawn got charged for being on the lawn. There were thousands of people on the lawn.
I was on the lawn.
People got charged for being inside the building.
I did get interviewed
Being in
by
the
the
threshold.
FBI.
They got charged if they beat up cops, broke stuff, or they got charged because they were either in the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, or the 3 Percenters. I didn't fight with cops or break anything. I wasn't in a militia. I wasn't on restricted grounds. 500 feet from the building. Now, something else happened after that. So I gave the speech. I wasn't on restricted grounds. And by the way, I was with a group of about 20 people. Not one of them got charged because I led them away from the Capitol. I was with and the people there, they could testify to this or not. But the guy that was standing next to me, all of them, Vince James was right here. He did not get charged. This doofus was here. He did not get charged. This guy was here. He did not get charged. This guy was there. He did not get charged. Or I'm sorry, I don't have let me go back. I don't have it in front of me. Vince James here, not charged. Doofus did not get charged. This guy. None of these people got charged. And that's because I was with the group walking to the Capitol. I gave the speech. And then I said, this is getting hairy. This is getting dicey. Tear gas started coming down. I said, let's get out of here.
Yes,
we all
I've
left.
been on her show
So
many
this
times.
idea that I was ordering people into the Capitol,
Welcome.
not true. Not true at all. Everybody that was with me did not get charged. I led people away from the Capitol. But that's what happened. Now, a couple of other things happened after this. This is very critical. This is pursuant to the information about the freezing of the funds. What happened a couple of months before, I guess about 1 month before January 6th, which should be mentioned, is that on December 8th, 2020, so this is after the election, but before January 6th, on December 8th, 2020, I got a very large Bitcoin donation. I got an email from a random address. It said, hey, I just sent you some Bitcoin. I said, oh, cool, thanks. I'll check my wallet. Never heard back from this person. I checked my wallet. He sent me 13.5 Bitcoin worth $250,000.
That's crazy.
From an email that I'd only corresponded with one other time. He sent me $1,000 in Bitcoin for my birthday. That's how he got my address. On my birthday, he said, what's your address? I said, this is my Bitcoin address. He sent me $1,000. 4 months later in December, he said, hey, sent you some Bitcoin. Never heard from him again. I sent him an email. I said, thank you so much. Let's get on a call. But I never heard back. It was a mystery. That is until after January 6th. Now, I thought about this a lot. I sold some of the Bitcoin. I'm not going to tell you how much, but I sold a lot of it on my Coinbase account. And I sent the money from Coinbase to my Bank of America checking account. A couple of weeks after January 6th, there was a report by a website called Chainalysis.
Right,
Chainalysis is a CIA-backed nonprofit that analyzes cryptocurrency transactions.
Oh, no shit.
And they took an interest in the donation because of what transpired at J6th. They identified me as a prominent guy at the Capitol, and my Bitcoin address is public, so you can look at who sent money to it. And so they saw that this big transaction took place. So the CIA-backed nonprofit Chainalysis, meaning like the blockchain, they looked at the transaction. This is what they wrote about it. This was on January 15th, 2021. Or excuse me, January 14th, 2021. It says, quote, on December 8th, 2020, a donor sent 28 Bitcoin worth $522,000 at the time of the transfer to 22 separate Bitcoin addresses in a single transaction. Many belong to far-right activists and internet personalities. Nick Fuentes received 13.5, worth approximately $250,000 at the time of the transfer, making him by far the biggest beneficiary of the donation. However, several others received significant funds as well, including the anti-immigration organization VDare, alt-right streamer Ethan Ralph, and many other addressees whose owners are yet unidentified. Some of the others were Patrick Casey. Patrick Casey got 1 Bitcoin. American Renaissance got a Bitcoin. Gab, BitChute,
Israel.
Daily Stormer, Uns Review, BitChute guy named Mr. Obvious, a YouTuber
Israel.
named Luke Smith. This guy gave 28 Bitcoin, half of which went to me, and everyone else got 1. And it was like a who's who of everyone in the dissident right. Amran, VDare, Uns Review, Gab, BitChute. Everybody got some. Here's where it gets interesting. Searching for information on the email address connected to the Bitcoin address led us to a personal blog we believe belongs to the extremist donor, and which identifies him as a French computer programmer. The blog had been inactive since 2014 until a new post was published on December 9th, the day after the donations were made. Shockingly, the post appears to be a suicide note. And I'm not going to read the whole note. You can find it online. It's on the Chainalysis article. But long story short, it's a French computer hacker who started receiving Bitcoin in exchange for his services in 2013. According to his suicide note, he got diagnosed with a neurological disorder with no cure. It's the most painful disease known to man with no cure. And he decided he was going to commit suicide. He got a luxury hotel room in Paris and decided to commit suicide. But before he killed himself, he said, I'm going to donate money. He said, I will bequeath my fortune to people that I think are defending Western civilization, because he was like right wing. And so this is one excerpt from the suicide note. It says, quote, I can't imagine myself spending my last days more and more diminished, not contributing to society, not fighting to preserve it. And that's one of the things that completely changed for me these last years. I care about what happens after my death. That's why I decided to leave my modest wealth to certain causes and people. I think and hope they will make a better use of it. This is Chainalysis again. It says French publication 20 Minutes confirmed the death of a French computer programmer who appears to have been the owner of the Bitcoin wallet from which the donations were sent, and the blog on which the suicide note we posted above was published. Reporter Philip Berry spoke to someone who knew the donor personally, who confirmed his death by suicide on December 8th. So this guy who I never knew, never met, never really talked to, was suffering in an extraordinary way, resolved to commit suicide, which he admitted in the suicide note was a selfish act. But he went out with a selfless act. He donated his fortune to the people he thought were preserving and fighting for civilization. And for whatever reason, he saw me as the most important figure. That's why he gave me half of the total donation, obviously. And that had nothing to do with January 6th. Now, given the nature of it, it was such a large and unusual sum of money. I never had a big transaction before that, so it was the size of the transaction. It was facilitated by Bitcoin, and it came from a foreign country. Now, all of that is enough to warrant attention by itself, but especially after January 6th, because I was such a vocal proponent of Stop the Steal. I was going to Atlanta, Harrisburg, Phoenix. I was all over. So naturally, the feds were looking for foreign financing. That was their narrative. That's what they went with. They said this was foreign financing of these riots and insurrections in January 6th and all that. So they were looking at me, they were looking at Alex Jones, they were looking at these types of people. They found this transaction and they flagged it. And they said, before this insurrection, this unusually large Bitcoin transaction from a foreign country went through. Now they investigated it and they found this had nothing to do with January 6th. If it did, why would they give money to UN's Review? That had nothing to do with J6. Why would they give money to Gab?
Yeah, Nick has
BitChute,
told this story before. I've heard this story.
Ethan Ralph. I mean, none of these people really had anything to do with Stop the Steal or J6. They weren't bankrolling it. They weren't financing it. Many of them weren't even there. So what's more, the January 6th event was not even announced until after December 8th. So the donor was literally dead before January 6th was even put on the schedule. Forget about, this was masterminded, orchestrated. The guy died before the event was even announced because all of that was moving very quickly. If you remember in 2020, we scrambled to do these protests and everyone was just doing it to defend Trump in the stolen election. So one had nothing to do with the other. Some French computer programmer who I didn't know, never met, bequeathed his fortune to a dozen people and then killed himself. Now, I happen to be doing these protests because I said the whole year the election would be stolen. I said since June 2020, it's going to be a red mirage. I said in October 2020, it's going to look like we're winning, then we're going to lose because of the mail-in ballots. Then it happened. So we kind of bootstrapped it. I drove to Lansing. We flew to these capitals. We tried to put something together and to fight to get the state electors to claw back, the state representatives to take back the electors in the Electoral College and get Trump to stay in office. While this was happening, some guy who I didn't know killed himself and bequeathed half of his fortune to me. And God bless him and God rest his soul. Now, after J6, the government took an interest in me and the donation. And Shane Alice has posted this. This was posted on January 14th. 10 days later, the Bank of America account was frozen. Now think about it. I received the Bitcoin transaction. I transfer it to Coinbase. I sell it. I transfer the cash to Bank of America. The Chainalysis report comes out and says there's this weird Bitcoin transaction. 10 days later, the Department of Justice freezes that Bank of America account. And I'll read to you the protective order that released the funds because I have it on hand. I'll post it. I'll post it under the Milo receipts so you can see it, and I'll read it. You want the receipts? You got them. You want my life? You want transparency? Here you go. So I just posted on Twitter, and I'll show you right now.
Americanism, not globalism.
What the fuck, Nick?
Hit the wrong button. Hit the wrong button. Show's not over. Okay. I'll show you the order from the DOJ that I received on July 21st, 2021. Whoops.
Accidentally
This is from the Department of Justice. It says, to whom it may concern, on January 23rd, 2021, this office submitted a letter stating that the above referenced accounts at Bank of America were subject to seizure and forfeiture on the ground that they contain proceeds of money laundering, wire fraud, and threat violations. We requested that the above referenced accounts be frozen pending further action from the office. This office is hereby withdrawing the January 23rd request to freeze the above referenced accounts. We appreciate your assistance in this matter. Now, the reason I'm reading that one first is to show you that was the reason it was frozen. They froze the money because they thought this was like money laundering from a foreign country to fund January 6th. And I'll read you, this is the email from Elizabeth Alloy. She's the attorney that signed the letter. So you can see down here, it says Elizabeth Alloy. This was the attorney. I'll read you the email she sent in February. So the chain analysis report goes out January 14th. The money is frozen January 23rd. The money actually gets frozen in the bank on January 25th. That's when the account was actually frozen. Now, for weeks, I didn't even know what happened, okay? All I knew, and this is the thing about this stuff, is it was like 6 a.m. I had been up all night. I was getting ready to go to bed, and I checked my Bank of America balance because I checked my email before I went to bed, and I saw my debit card declined. And I said, that's weird. So I checked Bank of America, and my account had a legal order. It said zero balance. The balance is being held in a legal order. And I freaked out. You know, a lot of people don't understand this. When you get persecuted by the government, they just come for you. It is shock and awe.
Yeah, real.
So they don't send you a letter. They don't call you on the phone. They just do shit to you. So it was January 25th. I'm chilling. I'm getting ready for bed. I check my bank balance, $0. Frozen, legal order. I call Bank of America. I say, what is going on? My account balance is zero. They tell me, all we can say is your account is on hold. This is like a theme. It's like Kafka-esque. You encounter these like bureaucrats. You're calling like the Bank of America customer service number, and you're like, hey, I'm like a targeted individual. My account balance is zero. What's going on? And you're talking to some like customer service rep, and they're like, all we can say is your money's gone now. And you're like, tell me more. And they're like, we can't. It's a legal order.
Wow.
So weeks go by. And eventually, I call every day. Now, in the meantime, I'm like getting screwed because that's all my money. Now, conspicuously enough, they didn't freeze all my accounts. They didn't freeze my Merrill Lynch account. They didn't freeze some of my other credit cards, just the Bank of America account that touched the tainted funds that were related to the Bitcoin. I'm calling Bank of America every day. What's going on? Do you have an update? Finally, at this point, I learned the script. And I know how to get to the right person. So finally, I get to the second or third person. I go, listen, I said, I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I'm going to tell you what's up. You're going to put me on hold. You're going to talk to your manager. And then you're going to come back and say, you can't give me any more information. So go ahead. So she goes, I'll put you on hold. She comes back. She goes, I have good news. I have information. I said, really? She said, yes. I have the phone numbers of the people that put the legal order on your account. She says, and they are Elizabeth Alloy, I forget the other names, but this person, that person, they're in my notes. I'll pull them up just for fun. If I can find them. Maybe not. I don't know if I can find them, but Elizabeth Alloy was one of them. She said, these are their emails. These are their numbers. I said, oh, thank you so much. So at this point, I hire an attorney. And the attorneys reach out to the Justice Department, Elizabeth Alloy and the others. And this is what the Justice Department said to me. This was in February. They said to my attorney, Bob, Jesse Brooks was one of them. Jesse Brooks replies to my attorney, Bob, and she says, thanks for reaching out. I hope you are well. To answer your questions, the government does not have a timeline for the unfreezing of the money. Mr. Fuentes is currently a subject of investigation due to his placement on the Capitol grounds on J 6th. I'm CCing my co-counsels Risa Burkauer and Elizabeth Alloy for further correspondence. All the best, Jesse Brooks. So at long last, I had an answer. Now, over the period of like 4 or 5 months, we're pushing them. My attorneys are pushing them. Where's the money? Where's the money? Finally, 6 months to the day, July 23rd, 6 months after the freezing of the funds. Okay, you saw the letter. I'll pull it up again just in case you're doubting me here because we want to bring the receipts. Okay, this is from the DOJ. It says on January 23rd, we put the funds under a freeze. This is dated July 21st, 2021. So it's 6 months to the day. Here's what happened. I was clearly a person of interest on January 6th because I was leading a lot of Stop the Steal stuff, because I gave a speech, because a lot of people believed I was inside the building. There was a picture going around of someone that looked like me. That guy wound up getting arrested.
I remember that.
So I was leading a lot of them. Some people placed me in the Capitol due to a blurry photo from a live stream. There was this weird transaction. Chain analysis ran it by the DOJ. They froze the funds. They put me on a no-fly list so I couldn't flee, so I couldn't use the money to hire an attorney, so I couldn't relocate. They investigated me for money laundering, and they found out that what happened was legit. I was not on restricted grounds. I wasn't inside the building, and the money was not the result of money laundering or anything like that. I never talked to the FBI. I never talked to the DOJ. It never happened. I never got interviewed. They never showed up at my house. Never happened.
No.
And here's the proof.
It's crazy.
In January 2022, I got subpoenaed by the House Select Committee on January 6th. And they gave me a schedule of 15 different things to turn over. They said, we want all your text messages, all your emails, all your phone calls, all this stuff. I didn't give them shit.
Good.
I didn't give them not one thing. But they did call me before the committee to answer questions. I pled the Fifth Amendment on everything. Literally everything. They said, do you know who Donald Trump is? I said, Fifth Amendment. I said, what was it? Something, I had a whole script. It was like, in accordance with the Fifth Amendment, and I do tend to blah. It was like a whole thing, but it was like Fifth Amendment. Do you know that the pandemic happened? Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, like 100 times. This black chick said, do you support Hitler? Fifth Amendment. No.
Obviously, no.
There's one question my attorney answered for me. I'll show it to you.
Disavow.
Because this is my response to Elon Musk. This was the question. Mr. Fuentes, have you turned over any records or devices to federal law enforcement in connection with January 6th or since January 6th? And if you would like to take a minute to discuss, we can go off the record. Mr. Durkin, my lawyer, also recently passed. God bless him and rest his soul. A great lawyer. He said, thank you. Okay, we'll go back on the record at 3:15. Mr. Durkin, I can represent that he has, to his knowledge, not been interviewed by any law enforcement, federal law enforcement, or any law enforcement, or turned over any of his devices or anything else. So unless somebody was in his house under 2333, which I presume is like they broke into my house, or whatever, or the intelligence community is more clever than I think, as far as I know, the answer to that is no. This is under oath. This is under penalty of perjury. So you have Milo telling me on January 5th, the feds are telling me not to go. And I'm like, oh, really? Then you have under penalty of perjury. And by the way, People went to jail over perjury on this or over obstruction.
Hey guys, please
Under
like the
penalty of
video.
perjury, they say, did you turn over devices? Did you
me
talk to
streaming
law
this on
enforcement?
YouTube, like
Could
the
it be
video,
more
please?
unambiguous than this? He said, I can represent, to his knowledge, he has not been interviewed by any law enforcement, federal law enforcement, any law enforcement, or turned over any devices or anything else. And do you know how broad that is? No, nothing of that sort has ever happened. This was a full year. So back to Milo's
Thank
question from the other tweet. Milo said, remember when Nick had his money frozen by the DOJ? Ask him how he got them to unfreeze it. Answer, informing. Then ask why it was or when it was unfrozen. Ask for proof.
Such a fucking liar.
Well, I showed you. They froze it in January 2021. They unfroze it in July 2021. He says,
Thanks, average
why,
person.
when? Ask for proof. There's the proof. I have an email from Elizabeth Alloy. She said, we froze the funds because of J6th. We have the legal order from the DOJ that says, we froze your money on the 23rd. We unfroze it in July 2021. We have a statement from my lawyer under oath, under penalty of perjury, saying he did never interview with the DOJ or FBI having anything to do with J6 in any way ever. So if I informed to get my money frozen, then how could all of these things be true? Because if I informed to get the money unfrozen, that interview would have taken place between J6 2021 and July 23rd, 2021. But in January, or excuse me, when did the testimony even happen? I got subpoenaed in January 22. I think the interview was later in the year. So if the alleged informing took place in the first half of 21, how can my lawyer represent in 22 that I never interviewed with law enforcement? Who would I inform to? If I was informing to get the money frozen, it would be about J6th during that window of time to the DOJ and the FBI. That's federal law enforcement. So either my lawyer has to go to jail and we have to go to jail for obstruction and perjury, or what's more likely is that a patriot, someone who actually is selfless, gave their money to me because they were inspired by the show, killed himself.
Milo is a garbage.
It was like a wrong place, wrong time thing. They took an interest in me, in the money. They froze it. The 6 months that they could legally freeze the money without filing charges expired. They couldn't file charges because it was legit. They released it. And then a year later, I said I never talked to law enforcement. And there it is. But it gets even better. The proof gets even better. Because there's something else that we found out. This is a note that was taken by somebody who knew Bill Barr. And I'm going to read to you the report about this note. I'll explain to you the significance. This just came out last week, okay? After January 6th, Trump's appointed Attorney General, Bill Barr, was working with the Democrats to go after the pro-Trump leadership that led the insurrection on J6th. According to Project Veritas, a whistleblower that knew Bill Barr has revealed who Bill Barr was targeting. Now, keep in mind, Bill Barr was CIA, and he ran the DOJ in January 2021. He was working with the Democrats to put together the hit list for the House Select Committee that I eventually got subpoenaed under. This is from Project Veritas. It says, a whistleblower under indictment by the U.S. Department of Justice and granted political asylum has provided Project Veritas with explosive evidence alleging secret meetings orchestrated by former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, media figure Armstrong Williams, and other prominent D.C. insiders to plan the prosecution of Trump, his allies, and January 6 defendants. Patricia Lellis, hired in 21 by Armstrong Williams' media company Howard Stirk Holdings, claimed she attended dozens of meetings where Barr and others devised legal strategies to target Trump supporters and block his political comeback. She provided Project Veritas with extensive handwritten notes and photos documenting these discussions, which took place from 21 until 23. Lela's detailed a September 13th, 2021 meeting involving herself, Armstrong Williams, CNN commentator Michael Singleton, and former AG William Barr, which focused on strategizing for the newly formed January 6th committee. She wrote, "The investigation will be focused on people close to Trump and make efforts to formally prosecute these people." Her notes reveal that Barr provided a list of targets, including Steve Bannon, Rudy Giuliani, Stuart Rhodes, Enrique Tarrio, Jeffrey Clark, the Oath Keepers, and the Proud Boys. Following this meeting, many of these individuals were subsequently subpoenaed to testify before the J6 committee or face charges related to J6 or the 2020 election. This is the list. This is the list before you right here. And this is the list. You can see I can't read cursive very well, but if you read closely, you can see it.
Anymore.
It says Michael Flynn. That's the first name. Steve Bannon, Rudy Giuliani. I think that says something Clark, something, Proud Boys people, Jim Jordan. And I'll move my camera out of the way so you can see the whole list. Whoops. At the bottom of the list, guess who? Nick Fuentes. Bill Barr, who is working with the Democrats on their J6 Select Committee hit list, I was on the hit list. I got subpoenaed after January 6th. That's where we testified. That's where me and my lawyer testified.
I don't know. I don't know enough about
that I had never
her,
talked to federal law enforcement. Okay?
I hope so. But I don't know.
There it is.
Thank you.
Now, I want to go through some of the other evidence. Maybe this will be more compelling. So as I said,
I want to know what the grand finale is.
Out of 2,000 January 6th defendants, they all had one among three things in common. They were either one, on protected or restricted Capitol grounds, which I was not. They were two, vandalizing infrastructure or fighting with cops and media, which I was not. Or three, they were members of the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, or 3 Percenters. Every single one had one of those things going on except me. People retort and they say, well, what about Brandon Straka? They say Brandon Straka, well, he was charged, but he also was not in the militia, also did not fight with the police, also was not inside the building. So what do you have to say about that? Well, I'll read to you Brandon Straka's complaint from the Department of Justice. We'll go through the receipts. This is from the DOJ. This is the official complaint against him.
I'm keeping my mouth shut on this. Brandon can go fuck himself. Brandon is one of the most intellectually dishonest,
where he was behind a large crowd of people attempting to enter the Capitol through a single entrance.
Walkaway is a complete fucking
He began
scam.
moving through the crowd of people to get closer. He asked, are people going in? What's the hold? As the crowd in front of him pushed their way into the entrance, he yelled, go, go, go. He could then be heard saying to somebody, I want to try. He continued to push forward with the crowd and appeared to get within several feet of the entrance to the Capitol.
Yep.
Now, remember, I was 500 feet away. He was in the threshold of the building.
And I'm not defending Brandon. Brandon can
At
go
around the
fuck
3:45 mark of the video,
I did
an
my time
officer from the
defending
U.S.
Brandon.
Capitol Police holding a protective shield could be
never
seen in the crowd.
So
As individuals pushed past the officer toward the
Brandon
Capitol,
got what
he
he
held the
deserved.
shield in the air. Straka yelled, take it away from him. Take the shield. Take it. The crowd successfully pulled the shield away from the officer as the officer appeared to be trying to move back toward the entrance of the building. The officer then went back into the crowd to get his shield back. Several people pulled on the shield as the officer grabbed it, thus pulling him deeper into the crowd. They pushed toward the officer as Straka and others chanted USA. Straka then moved to the entrance and appeared to get within a few feet of the doorway. Based on the foregoing, your affiant submits there is probable cause to believe Straka violated 18 U.S.C. 231A3 and 18 U.S.C. 2A, which make it unlawful to obstruct, impede, or interfere, or aid and abet another person to obstruct, impede, or interfere with any fireman or law enforcement officer lawfully engaged in the performance of his official duties, incident to and during the commission of a civil disorder, which in any way or degree obstructs, delays, or adversely affects the conduct or performance of any federally protected function, which I did not do. Based on the foregoing, your affiant submits there is
Strzok
probable
is
cause
worse
to
than
believe
Candace
Straka
Owens.
violated 18
For
U.S.C.
the record.
1752A1 and 2, which makes it a crime to knowingly enter or remain in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority to do so. So the answer is no. For those that say, why was he not charged? I would say charged with what? What would I have been charged with that anyone else was charged with? Because what applies to Straka does not apply to me. He was in the doorway, imminently inciting a crowd to attack a specific police officer in the threshold of the building. I was 500 feet away saying in very vague terms, we're taking the Capitol back. If a lawyer looked at it, they would say that does not meet the definition of incitement or whatever they charged him with. I was not on the restricted grounds in the building. I was not a member of militia. I was not involved in a scuffle with a law enforcement or his riot shield or anything like that. I'll do you one better if you don't find this convincing. Let's say Straka is like me. He got charged and he made a deal.
He did make a deal.
This is a story about his plea deal with the government. In spite of his big charge, he never got jail time. He got probation because he informed on his people.
Exactly. Brandon informed on everyone.
Quote, a pro-Trump organizer and social media influencer who spoke at a D.C. rally the day before the Capitol attack was sentenced to 3 years of probation on Monday. Brandon Straka admitted to recording himself telling the mob to go, go, go as they reached the Capitol and telling rioters who were wrestling a shield away from a Capitol officer to take it. He pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct in October. In court filings last week, Straka's attorneys said he spoke to government investigators 3 times voluntarily and claimed the officials seemed to be trying to establish that there was an organized conspiracy involving the president to overturn the result of the election.
3 times.
The DOJ acknowledged in court filings he was cooperative in these interviews.
Brandon.
So, first of all, they say, well,
yeah, Brandon
Straka got charged with the same thing you should have been. Well, that's not true at all. Because he was in the doorway, I was 500 feet away. He was involved in a scuffle with law enforcement, I was not. They say this is evidence you're an informant. But he got charged, unlike me, and he got a sweetheart plea deal because he informed, because he cooperated. So which is it? I'll do you one better. There's a story of Ray Epps. Tucker Carlson says that Ray Epps was a federal informant. He incited the riot, and he's protected as a confidential, what did they say? An unindicted co-conspirator, an unnamed, unidentified co-conspirator. Just one problem. Ray Epps was also charged. This is from the New York Times. It says, quote, Ray Epps, the former Trump supporter who became a target of a conspiracy theory that he was an undercover government agent who helped to instigate the J6 Capitol, or the Capitol on J6th, was sentenced on Tuesday to a year of probation for his own role in the riot instead of the 6 months that prosecutors had requested he serve in prison. The probation sentence imposed after Mr. Epps had pleaded guilty last year to a single count of disorderly conduct stemming from his presence in the pro-Trump mob brought his prosecution to a close. Now, in spite of this, people still insist he's an informant. So let's just rewind here. As I said from the beginning, if nothing at all happened to me, they would say, that's suspicious, you're a Fed. But something did happen to me. I got put on the federal no-fly list. My money got frozen. I got banned from Facebook and Instagram. I got debanked. I got banned from DLive. I was banned from all of streaming for years. I'm still banned from credit card processing to this day. Still banned from Facebook and Instagram to this day. And they say, oh, well, even though stuff happened to you, that stuff was done to you and that's why you made a deal. Okay. So if nothing happens to you, you're a Fed. If something happens to you, you're still a Fed. Then enter charges. They say, well, you did not get charged, so you're a Fed. But people that got charged demonstrably were informants. That's how they get you to inform. They charge you with something, and then they say, we will lighten the sentence if you inform. That's what Straka did. Maybe that's what Epps did. Either way, both of them are informants, and one of them is still accused of being an informant even though he was charged. So if you don't get charged like me, you're a Fed. If you do, like Ray Epps, well, you're still a Fed. What does Tucker say? Tucker says the Feds charged Ray Epps to make it look like he wasn't a Fed. Okay? So whether nothing happens or something happens, you're damned. If you don't get charged or you do get charged, you're damned. If you don't get charged, well, that's because you're law enforcement. But if you do, that's law enforcement making it look like you're not law enforcement. So there's no scenario where you can't be caught. Even if you testify under oath, even if you didn't commit a crime, you didn't do anything wrong, no matter what, they will always insinuate that you're a federal agent. But this is not new. Like every other stratagem, like every other tactic, this isn't new. I'll show you this article. This is on Wikipedia. Okay? This is called badjacketing. There's a word for it. Badjacketing is a term for planting doubt on the authenticity of an individual's bona fides or identity. An example would be creating suspicion through spreading false rumors, creating suspicion, manufacturing evidence that falsely portrays someone in a community organization as an informant, member of law enforcement, or guilty of malfeasance, such as skimming organization funds. Snitch-jacketing is a variant that specifically aims to present the target as an informer. Scholar Mark Anthony Neal writes that the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover used the technique against the Black Panther Party and other Black Power organizations as part of its counterintelligence operations. He writes this technique was effective in isolating key individuals, forcing them out of the organization, and that its effectiveness was enhanced by the tendency of Black Power activists to divide among rigid racial, ideological, and gendered lines. The practice was notably used by FBI informants to create a climate of suspicion within new left groups, which resulted in the murder of some activists subjected to badjacketing. Okay? This is what they do. Now, why would they badjacket me? It's obvious. There's no evidence that I've ever worked with law enforcement. If there is, show me. Kash Patel, show me the evidence. Milo's friends with Kash Patel. Show us the evidence. I knew Milo for years. Text messages, phone calls. Is there any evidence? Jaden McNeil is another one, former associate of mine. He used to get coffee for me. He was a good bitch. He was a good boy for me. He was a bitch. He was the office bitch.
He was a good bitch.
He's been pushing this for years. He sat in meetings with my attorney.
So hard.
I knew this guy for years. Does he have any evidence of this other than these insinuations?
Jaden
Is there any evidence at all? Or is it just
permanent
promulgating
L.
rumors and suspicion
Permanently obsessed
based
with
on
Dick
something
Fuentes.
controversial that happened a few years ago? Now, even though I'm proving a negative, I'm still doing a good job. Even though I have to prove a negative, I still have a timeline. I still have the receipts. I have testimony under oath. And by the way, isn't the goal of the government to promote informants? If I'm an informant, why am I not allowed to have a bank account? Riddle me that one. I got banned from Bank of America, Chase Bank, U.S. Bank, Inland Bank, Fifth Third Bank. I got banned from Epic Pay, Authorize.net, PayPal, Stripe. I'm banned from every payment processor, every bank. Is that what you do to an informant? The SPLC put a picture of my house on their front page to get me killed. The ADL got me banned on Twitter. I got banned from Facebook and Instagram and D Live the same day. I got put on the no-fly list. They froze my money. Then a year later, I got subpoenaed in part because Bill Barr, a CIA, FBI spook, put me on his enemies list. So did they not get the memo? When exactly did I become an informant? When exactly did that happen? And I would ask them, I've given you the receipts. Now show me the actual concrete evidence of who exactly I'm working for, in what capacity, and how they must have missed all this stuff.
You're telling me that Brandon
The reason I'm
Strauch
banned
is a
from
selfish
banks
asshole?
is because of
I had no
regulations that go
idea.
all the way to the top because of reputational
No
risk
idea at all.
that come from Visa and MasterCard and the Federal Reserve. Facebook and Instagram were taking orders from the Biden administration during COVID regarding other things. The House Select Committee under Biden subpoenaed me. And if I said I'm not a Fed,
I have like a
and Biden's
half-started book
DOJ
about
knew
this
that I
specifically,
was,
about
why
Nick's
didn't they
whole thing
pursue me for
specifically.
perjury? Why did they
Someday
not get the
the
memo?
Nick and I book will get written.
Who am I working
Someday.
for? When did I start?
Not
In
right
what
now.
capacity? And why did everybody miss the memo? And here's another question. For all the people that are constantly attacking me for this, where were they during Stop the Steal? Sorry, where was Tucker Carlson? Where was Elon Musk? Where was Candace Owens?
Yeah,
Because
real.
I'll tell you something, the 2020 election was stolen. It was a coup. The number of mail-in ballots went from 30% in 2016 to 70% in 2020. Entire countries don't even have mail-in ballots because they're so prone to fraud. And in 2020, the proportion of mail-in ballots doubled. They solicited them in the mail. They sent ballots in the mail and said, drop them off at a drop box whenever. And unsupervised drop boxes that were open for months. The election was rigged. They installed Joe Biden, who did a vaccine mandate, who did a wealth transfer, who did quantitative easing, who did the war in Ukraine. I was one of the Trump supporters that answered the call and said, this is a rigged election. We need to bootstrap this and get on the ground. And I paid my own way. I did my own rally in Lansing, Michigan. I flew to rallies in Phoenix, Arizona, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, Washington,
I was at
D.C.
the one in Atlanta.
They wouldn't even let me go to these things.
pretty rad.
I was told by the Oath Keepers, we will not protect you from Antifa because of who you are. And I went anyway wearing a bulletproof vest because the election was being stolen. And I knew that on the other side of the stolen election was unprecedented corruption. The vax mandate, the Ukraine war, all the BLM stuff, giving COVID aid to blacks first, not even letting white people apply, the quantitative easing, the growing of the money supply. Where were all these people criticizing me? And this is the theme here, by the way. All these people that are accusing me of anything.
It's always projection.
Sorry,
They're
where
always
were
doing
they?
something.
In
Every single
2017,
time.
I was at Charlottesville. You know what Milo was doing? He was informing to the FBI about Richard Spencer, who organized it.
Yep.
In 2017, I was talking about Israel and about the racial replacement migration. You know what Tucker was doing? He was on Fox News taking money from Rupert Murdoch. Candace Owens, I believe at that time, was at Turning Point USA, or she was running a dox site to dox bullies on the internet called Social Credit or something like that. Where were you in 2019 during the Groyper War? I was leading young men into a war against Charlie Kirk saying, why are you pro-legal immigration? Why do you put Israel first? Why are you promoting degeneracy when you should be promoting Christianity?
Nick's been
Where
the
was
real
Candace
one
Owens?
all along.
She was working for Turning Point USA.
From the very beginning, and they fucked him over.
Where was Milo? Who even knows? Doing cocaine somewhere. Where was Tucker Carlson? He gave us a little shout out on his show while he was pushing a colorblind meritocracy, inclusive populism. And then in 2020, think of this. A French guy who is sentenced to death. Life could not get more unfair. Some people get rich getting paid by Dennis Prager. Some people make $20 million a year getting paid by Rupert Murdoch. Some guy by the fortune or misfortune of being born, is sentenced to a life of unbearable pain that cannot be ameliorated or cured. Now, he could have just killed himself. There's a lot of things he could have done. He writes a suicide note and says, killing myself is a selfish act, but I'm going to go out with a selfless act.
Hey guys,
I'm inspired by Nick Fuentes, by Ron Owens, by Andrew Anglin, by Ethan Ralph, for that matter, by Andrew Torba.
There's no
Before I die,
on that one.
I'm going to give them my money so they can keep up the fight that I can't do because I'm in so much pain and there's nothing that they can do for me. And I receive the money and I go and put myself on the line at these rallies. I go and they're telling me, we can't protect you from Antifa because of who you are. If something happens to you, we can't protect you. Milo's getting told by the feds, don't go. It's going to be terrible. And so he stays home. But I'm there to support the president, to prevent this thing from happening. And the pattern is that I fought. Candace keeps saying this is something that happened to me 10 years ago. This is something that has been happening to me. Been happening. Over and over. For criticizing Israel, I got a Media Matters hit piece about me written. People are trying to kill me at Boston University. For going to Charlottesville, I got fired at RSBN. For pushing the issue, I got banned from PayPal. A year later, Ashley St. Clair got fired for being in a picture with me. When we led the Groyper War, I got banned from YouTube because one of Trump's fixers leaned in and they called me a Holocaust denier and smeared me that way. After I went and fought on January 6th, I had my money frozen. I got banned from DLive. I lost my livelihood and my career. I got banned on Twitter 6 months later.
He's still here.
I made no money for years. I was operating at a loss just to keep the live stream going on Cozy TV. And then I get accused of being a Fed after all that. Now in the middle of this, calling out Trump correctly, blowing up, generational run. Now the stuff resurfaces. You have people that are fighting for the truth and inspiring true belief, which, by the way, is impossible to fake. People that have watched me for years, there's nothing to hide. You're on a live stream. There's nothing to hide. When you come in, day out. People that love me, people that love this movement, that are inspired by it, they're inspired because it's the true information, because it persists in spite of the bullshit, the canceling, the smears, the lies, calling me a Nazi Jew hater, kicking me off Twitter, saying, oh, he's a troll, he's a bad faith actor. It's true belief in what we're doing. People see this show, they see the lengths I've gone to push this message, for which there is no counter argument. And they truly believe in it, truly are inspired by it. That's why people have died for this movement. That's why people that are dying support this movement. That's why people say, I will kill and die for this movement. And you have these shitheels that took millions of dollars from the enemy for years, that were complicit in it, that had no problem lying, that are involved in every weird thing under the sun. They're going to come around a year later, after it became the consensus of the planet. Tucker stopped taking $20 million a year from Rupert Murdoch last year to suddenly get red-pilled on the Jews. Candace Owens got done. She got up off her knees for Ben Shapiro, Dennis Prager, Charlie Kirk, and the rest of them last year to say, I think there's something up with the Jews. And now they want to impugn my motivations. They want to use insinuation, calumny, rumors, gossip.
Yup.
To try to get people not to listen to me. It's bullshit. And everybody can see it for what it is. It's so transparent. For 10 years, I was the most canceled, most censored man in America. I'm not singing the victim complex about it. That's just what happened. Everybody knows it. Are we all going to play stupid now? Try searching my name on TikTok. Tell me what the result is. Search Nick Fuentes. Tell me I'm not canceled. It's just the truth. And now that I'm breaching containment, now that I've successfully defeated that, and am pushing the very issues that got me canceled, not only are they trying to fight my credibility, but they're undermining the very basis of my cancellation in the first place. And it harkens back to what Tucker Carlson said about Pat Buchanan. Tucker said, when Pat Buchanan is called an anti-Semite, he said, Buchanan likes to say the cabal that controls Washington is coming after me. He's playing the victim. Tucker says, maybe you're just crazy.
Guys, please make sure you like
maybe
the video.
You're just truly an anti-Semite.
If you appreciate I'm streaming this on YouTube.
That's what he said 25 years ago about Pat Buchanan.
I would appreciate it.
They're saying the same thing now. They're saying you are a legitimate crazy person, anti-Semite. And if you got persecuted by the feds or canceled or blacklisted, well, that's because you are legitimately a bad person. You see this layered denial here? It's layered like this. Now think about it. Candace brings me on her show in June to say, you're a real Jew hater. She said, when you got canceled by the Jews, did that make you hate Jews? I said, no. She goes, really? Well, here's this clip where you called out Aiden Ross and Dave Smith for being Jewish. She said, you have a problem with Dave because he was born Jewish.
Many such cases.
She called me an anti-Semite. A few weeks after it drops, she goes with Tucker Carlson. What do they say? He's a Jew hater and he's a Fed. And his job is to destroy people by association. He's not just a real anti-Semite, but he's also controlled opposition. Now we have a couple weeks later. He's controlled opposition, they say. And when he gets persecuted, no, he's not being persecuted for being an anti-Semite, for being a truth teller. No, let's break apart the narrative that he was persecuted. He was never persecuted. He was never persecuted. He's just a bad guy. Do you see the layered denial? You are a legit Jew hater. Insinuating that Judaism has anything to do with what's going on is hateful. Why are you pushing this? Because your controlled opposition made to look the people that aren't blaming the Jews look bad. And why was Tucker and Candace promoted, but you were persecuted? Well, because you were never really persecuted at all. It only looks that way because you're playing the victim and so on and so forth. This is like a layered denial to not only steer the traffic away from me, but also to destroy my credibility and to say even the things you went through were not as they seem. And of course, being a January 6th had nothing directly to do with like the Jewish question. But it did have to do with the fact that the election was stolen by this cabal for whatever reason. And the same reason I was against it then, it's the same reason I was against Trump getting elected this time. He was clearly the regime's pick in 24, just like Biden was the regime's pick in 2020 and Clinton was the regime's pick in 2016. But oh, wait, there's more. It gets better. It gets better. And this is the last section, if you will, of the show. Like I said, we started with
this
how we got
This is what I've been
here.
waiting for. What's
we
the
went
big
through the
reveal,
evidence.
Nick?
Now let's bring it home and talk about the attack.
Yeah.
It's not a real attack. It's a bad faith attack. Do any of these people believe this? No.
No.
They will choose any attack that suits. But you tend to see these types of attacks that hurt your credibility with your own people, whatever. What is the common denominator that ties all these people together? Well, if you recall, I was at the pinnacle of my popularity in June of this year. Why? Because I was the only one that said Trump would bring us to war in Iran. Don't vote for him. Trump is a Trojan horse for the Zionists and for J.D. Vance. It's because of this my show blew up, and I was hitting this hard, talking about Trump's connections to Israel, Vance's connections to Israel, and I said, we can't support them. This is the next big thing.
45,000
It's in this
watching him
context
live.
that Candace does her hit
Love
piece.
it.
The day after my biggest show, she does a hit piece.
Good.
Then she goes
Nick
on
is
Tucker.
inevitable.
Tucker and Candace are gossiping. Tucker says, I'm hurting the
And I want him to
reputation of
spill all
Vance,
the
a
tea.
real
It's
America
just
First
beautiful.
guy.
It's fucking beautiful.
Then Candace has on Milo. What does Milo say about Vance? Milo says there's nothing wrong with being a creation of Peter Thiel. A week after that, Elon Musk is replying to Milo on Twitter, calling me a Fed.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Well, just who is J.D. Vance? As we talked about a couple of weeks ago in my explosive show, when Tucker and Candace tried to cancel me, I inadvertently blew up the spot of Vance. Tucker said that Vance is the legitimate America First guy, not Nick Fuentes. I said, well, who's Vance? Vance was mentored by David Frum. David Frum is a Jewish neocon who wrote for the Weekly Standard with Tucker Carlson. David Frum was a speechwriter for George W. Bush. He coined the term axis of evil, which includes Iran, Iraq, and North Korea. David Frum said about Vance that he will one day lead the Republican Party because of the power of his story.
Really?
Vance went to Yale Law School, where he met Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel became his mentor. Peter Thiel is a CIA contractor. He developed PayPal under the supervision of the Israeli-born engineer that ran the cryptography department at Stanford University, which is a big spook school. Thiel creates PayPal with David Sachs and Elon Musk in the year 2000. Okay? In 2001, Peter Thiel starts up Palantir, which is the surveillance state. Their only contract is with the CIA. Of course, the CIA is what Tucker Carlson's dad was involved in. And he worked with David Frum, Vance's other mentor, at the Weekly Standard under Bill Kristol. Peter Thiel, who's a CIA contractor, uses his fortune to bankroll J.D. Vance's career. J.D. Vance meets Thiel at Stanford, and Vance says that's the most important moment of my life. Thiel gets him his first job in Silicon Valley. Then Thiel hires Vance at his venture capital firm, where Vance writes his book, his story that connects him with the voters. Then Vance starts his own venture capital firm with money from Thiel. And he advises Rebecca Mercer. Rebecca Mercer hired Candace Owens' husband, George Farmer, to run Palantir. Rebecca Mercer founded 1789 Capital under the Rockbridge Network, which is J.D. Vance's slush fund, which gave $15 million to Tucker Carlson.
Wow.
In 2022, Peter Thiel gave J.D. Vance $15 million in his campaign. David Sachs gave J.D. Vance $1 million. In 22, Elon Musk and David Sachs co-hosted a space with the launch of Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign. That didn't work out. In June of 2024, J.D. Vance hosts a fundraiser at David Sachs' house in Silicon Valley. David Sachs was in the PayPal mafia with Elon Musk in the year 2000, and they're close friends. Here's what happened at that fundraiser. It says, quote, last month, J.D. Vance flew to San Francisco to hold a fundraiser for Donald Trump and to host a private dinner afterward with 24 tech and crypto executives and investors. During the $300,000 a person dinner that night, Mr. Trump, seated next to David Sachs, polled the room about who to choose as his running mate. Mr. Sachs and everyone else in attendance had the same answer. Pick Vance, they told Mr. Trump. Mr. Vance, the Ohio senator selected by Mr. Trump to be his running mate, spent less than 5 years in Silicon Valley's tech industry, where he worked as a junior venture capitalist and biotech executive. Mr. Vance's stint in tech was crucial for forging connections with billionaire executives and investors, including Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and Elon Musk. Over and over, those men have funded Mr. Vance's political ambitions, raised his profile among wealthy donors, and lobbied Mr. Trump to choose him as his running mate. Before the midterm elections, Mr. Thiel gave $15 million for Vance's campaign for the Senate. Sachs donated $1 million to his PAC. Mr. Trump cited Vance's successful business career in tech and finance as a reason he was chosen. Mr. Thiel placed calls to encourage Mr. Trump to choose Mr. Vance. Mr. Vance was a friend of the Thiel network going back years, said Crystal McKellar. It seemed Peter saw something special in him. Mr. Musk also encouraged Mr. Trump to choose Mr. Vance in private communications recently. On Monday, Mr. Musk called Mr. Vance's selection an excellent decision. Vance has relied on Sachs, whom he called one of his closest confidants. After that event, Vance introduced Sachs to Don Jr. You know who else lobbied Trump to choose Vance as his running mate, in addition to Peter Thiel and Elon Musk? Tucker Carlson. This is from the New York Times. When word got back to Tucker Carlson a few weeks ago that President Trump might be wavering on J.D. Vance as his running mate, Mr. Carlson intervened. Mr. Carlson, who was visiting Australia on a speaking tour, phoned Mr. Trump and delivered an apocalyptic warning. Their conversation, according to two people briefed on the discussion, was included in an article in the New York Times exploring the years-long process of how Mr. Vance won over Mr. Trump. In their phone conversation in June, Mr. Carlson told Mr. Trump that another top running mate contender, Marco Rubio, could not be trusted, that he would work against him and try to lead America into nuclear war. Mr. Carlson, who declined to comment, told Mr. Trump that the other top contender, Doug Burgum, could not be trusted either. Get a load of this. Tucker told Mr. Trump he believed that if Trump chose a neocon as his VP, then the U.S. intelligence agencies would have every incentive to assassinate Mr. Trump in order to get their preferred president. Tucker made a last-ditch overture to President Trump. Pick Vance. Pick Vance. You have to pick Vance, or else the intelligence agencies will kill you if you don't.
That's fucking crazy.
Peter Thiel, the FBI informant and CIA contractor, Elon Musk, the defense contractor and PayPal mafia member with Peter Thiel, close confidant of David Sachs, and J.D. Vance, who brokered the David Sachs fundraiser with Silicon Valley and Trump, mentored by Peter Thiel, mentored by David Frum, who worked for Bill Kristol with Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, Nick did not kill himself.
Thiel, Musk, and Tucker lobbied Trump to pick Vance, and they said, if you don't, the CIA will kill you. Who's the CIA? Who does the CIA, NSA, FBI, DHS, who do they all contract with? Palantir, founded by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and Joe Lonsdale, Israel First Jews that after October 7th flew their board to Israel and provided them with facial recognition technology to murder Palestinians. J.D. Vance, who upon becoming the VP nominee in his first interview said, we're going to bomb Iran, who went to the Quincy Institute and said, we need a pro-Israel spin on America first.
Holy
Tucker, who
shit.
interviewed Vance 46 times on his show. Vance hired his son. Vance's Rockbridge network was the spawning point of 1789 Capital, founded by Rebecca Mercer and Claire Monster Chris Buskirk, which gave Tucker $15 million. Rebecca Mercer funded Steve Bannon at Breitbart that spawned Milo Yiannopoulos' career. And Rebecca Mercer hand-selected George Farmer, Candace Owens' husband, to run Parler in 2021. This is why they want me dead.
Yep.
Who's the Fed? Who's the Fed here? Because I brought all the receipts. Last Friday, the Friday before that, tonight, Google it. Google it. It's all there. You want openness? You want transparency? There it is. There it is. Watch this clip. This is from Candace's show last week with Milo. Oh, it gets better. You think I'm done? Do you think I'm done? Watch this clip.
Nick must be
Let
protected
me put
at
my
all
headphones
costs.
on and you can see for yourself. Where will the fence sitters land after this? Let's see. Let's see where they land.
I hope
Or
Nick
if they
has more
join
than
in
this
on the
too.
takedown.
I hope he has more than this.
How about
and he's not
this?
telling us yet that he's holding back.
How about
in his
another
back
joke,
pocket
Candace?
for a later date. Sound, Nick. Sound, Nick. Nick, the sound's not working. The sound's not working. Nick, the sound's not
Where's
working.
my audio?
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
There we
obviously, I think those chances have been completely annihilated given what's happened. But what do you think about J.D. Vance? I find his silence to be quite loud.
I have a feeling he's going to really pleasantly surprise us all.
Oh my
I
God.
think the expectations for him were so low. He's a creation of Peter. People always like suspicious about, he's a creation of Peter Thiel without really explaining what it is about that's bad.
Wait, hang on.
such a
Wait a
garbage
second. Wait
human
a
being.
second. Wait a second. Didn't you just say that I'm an FBI asset? I'm an FBI informant?
Wow. Whoa! Hello. Nick wins.
Get shit on? Eat shit and die? Wait a second. Let's get an instant replay here. Let's get an instant replay.
Now, obviously, I think those chances have been completely annihilated given what's happened.
Let's, because
But what do you
it
think
felt
about
good the
J.D.
first
Vance?
time. Let's do it another
I find
time.
his silence to be quite loud.
I have a feeling he's going to really pleasantly surprise us all because I think the expectations for him were so low. He's a creation of Peter. People always like suspicious about, he's a creation of Peter Thiel without really explaining what it is about that's bad.
Well, what's bad about Peter Thiel? He's an FBI informant. That's for starters. Among many, 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 many other things. How about this? How about another explanation?
Yeah.
How about another joke, Murray?
Let's do another one, Nick. Do it.
How about this? This a good reason?
I defer to Israel.
Palantir tech giant struggles to answer question about Israel's use of AI-generated kills. I defer to Israel. How about this?
Wow.
How about this? How about that? How about this?
Oy vey.
How about this? You think we forgot about this one? How about the greatest hits? How about the greatest hits of all fucking time? What do you think of this one?
What does it say,
This is
Nick?
from 2017. I reached Posobiec by phone on Saturday. The previous day, he told me he had flown from Washington to Miami to attend a party hosted by the far-right self-promoter Milo Yiannopoulos. Posobiec spent much of Friday morning monitoring 4chan poll. People were claiming something big was coming, so I just keep hitting refresh, he told me. Shortly before 3 p.m., an anonymous user posted 9 gigabytes of information, hacked emails, photographs, and documents from the campaign of Emmanuel Macron.
No
Posobiec
shit.
could not know whether all the information was authentic. He considered it his journalistic duty to tell his followers about the leak, which he was tipped off about. Oh, but it gets better. It gets so much better. Because guess who's at this party? This was retweeted hundreds of times. The tweet seems to stagnate. Posobiec is an anti-globalist. He sent out a few more tweets, hashtag Macron leaks, then went to the rented mansion party where the Cinco de Milo party was being held. Yiannopoulos was made his grand entrance, descending a curving staircase with a large yellow snake around his neck. I think they left something else out. If we can find it. There was something else that he had there.
Oh no. What else?
He was also draped in an Israeli flag. Do you know that about the party?
No shit.
Here he is with all these black men, a boa. And at some point he put on an Israeli flag at this party where they're attacking Macron. This was 8 years ago. Now, here's the coup de grace. This is going to bring it home once and for all. This is from yesterday. Heartbroken Vance pleads for Musk and Trump to just get back together already.
Uh-huh.
Divorce is always hardest on the kids, but J.D. Vance still seems to think there's scope for Elon Musk and Donald Trump to pick up the pieces after their messy split. I really think it's a mistake for him to try to break from the president, Vance told the Gateway Pundit. My hope is that by the time of the midterms, he's going to come back into the fold. It really makes you think. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Candace Owens does a hit piece on me. It backfires. She does a thing with Tucker Carlson where Tucker says, oh, J.D. Vance is a real patriot. It backfires. Candace brings on Milo, who defends J.D. Vance. A week later, Elon Musk is replying to Milo, saying, I'm a Fed. This is a day after J.D. Vance is lobbying Trump to bring Elon back into the White House before the midterms. Do you see what's going on here? Now, here's my challenge. So, this is all the receipts. This is all the information. We'll sum it up in a minute. Let's make things a little interesting, shall we?
Yes, please, Nick.
Let's make things a little bit interesting on the show. You know, I don't know what Candace Owens' deal is. Her husband, George Farmer, is connected to Rebecca Mercer and Brexit and Nigel Farage, and by proxy, Bannon and all of this stuff. I don't know what her deal is. But she expressed skepticism over J.D. Vance. Candace, if you are interested in the truth and journalism, you need to do a show on J.D. Vance. You need to investigate his connections to David Frum, to Peter Thiel, to David Sachs, to
Candace
Elon
not
Musk.
gonna like
You need
this.
to dig into the PayPal mafia,
Candace is gonna
the
have all sorts of
antecedents of
feelings about
PayPal,
this.
which originated at Stanford, Max Levchin, and Bona, who ran the cryptography department at Stanford. You need to do the deep dive on this. And when you do it, if you do it, you will come to the conclusion that Vance must be opposed in 2028 by any means necessary. Do it and see what happens. Candace Owens should go against J.D. Vance hard and see if she still gets the same treatment from Tucker Carlson and Milo. I'd be very interested to see what happens to her. Will she go after Vance in a thorough way? And if she does, what's going to happen to those connections? Because I have a feeling there's something going on here with all of that.
I would say so, yeah.
I have been the #1 Vance hater from the beginning. And why? Because he is being groomed to usurp America First and MAGA on behalf of the deep state in Israel, as I demonstrated last Friday and the week before that. Peter Thiel is a spook. He started the Stanford Review with money from Irving Kristol. He goes to, and Stanford is a spook school. He creates PayPal through the cryptography department under the supervision of an Israeli-born Jew and partnered up with Max Levchin, another Jew. PayPal Mafia is Elon Musk and David Sachs. He takes his money and banks it with Alex Karp and Joe Lansdale, 2 Israel First Jews, running a CIA program. For 7 years, the CIA is their only client. They visit Langley over 300 times. In the same, concurrently, Tucker Carlson's at the Weekly Standard with Bill Kristol, Irving Kristol's son.
Knitting is not a competition, bro. Relax.
Later on, J.D. Vance is groomed by Peter Thiel at Yale Law School. He's hired in Silicon Valley by Peter Thiel. He advises these other people like Rebecca Mercer. He gets involved in the Thiel universe. During this time, Tucker Carlson is supporting J.D. Vance when he runs for Senate, has him on his show dozens and dozens of times. Tucker Carlson is backing Vance after Vance voted for Bill Kristol's handpicked candidate, Evan McMullin, a CIA agent. We already know Tucker's connections to the CIA. Who lobbies Trump to pick Vance? Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, and Peter Thiel. Vance becomes the vice president. As vice president, Vance is advocating on behalf of Palantir, Doge, Israel. And what's the basis of Tucker's attack on me now? You're discrediting the good guys like J.D. Vance. Milo goes on Candace. J.D. Vance is a good guy. Elon replies to Milo, you're right, Nick Fuentes attacking Vance is a Fed, as Tucker Carlson said. Tucker said to Trump, if you don't pick Vance, the deep state will kill you. Think of it. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Tucker Carlson are telling Trump, the deep state will kill you if you don't pick Vance. Who the fuck is the deep state? If it isn't Elon Musk, the creator of Starshield, if it isn't Peter Thiel, the creator of Palantir, if it isn't Tucker Carlson, whose dad ran Voice of America and the U.S. Information Agency. That sounds like a failed threat. That's what that sounds like to me. And the reason they're trying to shut me up is because, one, I'm talking about Israel and Jewishness as such, and because I'm not on board with Trump and Vance. That is why they're attacking me. That's the difference between me and them. What's the difference between Tucker, Elon, and me? They support Vance and I don't. What's the difference between Tucker, Candace, everybody on Tucker's show? They say it's neocons, it's Zionists. I'm saying no, it has something to do with Judaism. They're all involved in this network of oligarchs and billionaires. I'm the realest nigga on the internet that's in the middle of my generational run. And it is not going to come to an end anytime soon over my dead body because a bunch of fucking autistic spurgs that weren't even born here are going to try and lie on my name.
I love this
Elon
kid
Musk,
so
you
much.
weren't born here. Milo, you're a Jew and you weren't born here. Candace Owens, your husband wasn't born here. Go the fuck home.
Yeah.
This is America first.
America
I was
first,
born in
bitch.
America. This is the only country I've ever known, and I will die for America. Can you say the same? I am America first. You are not. You're not even American.
Based.
And to the extent that you are, you're a fucking traitor. That's the last word on that. That's the show.
That was so hot.
Who is the Fed?
That
Will
was
the
so
real
hot.
federal agent please stand up? Who is it? Who's the real federal agent? Elon, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Tucker, and George Farmer, the son of the head of the Alliance of Christians and Jews in the UK? Or the realest fucking nigga you know?
Me too, bro.
Patrick
Me
Bet
too.
David
Yeah, real.
said, why do you say the N-word? It's to show people I'm real. Why do you roll out of bed at 3 a.m. and do a show? Why do you say you're going to have hate sex with Candace Owens? Why do you say nigger? It's to show you
Because you can.
I'm the real nigga on the
Because you
show.
can.
All these people that have been taking checks from Fox News, Turning Point USA, Dennis Prager, they're just not ready for this. They're not ready that we're in the Groyper generation. Because all this time, these past 8 years, what do you think I've been doing? Your attacks, your slander, your persecution. I have only been growing stronger. Don't you get it? I have only been gathering strength. 8 years. Lied about, censored, attacked, persecuted. Well, you were at parties getting millions of dollars for doing bullshit. Your show is ass, and you're full of shit, and you're retarded. And that is why I'm not just coming for Rumble.
We must all be willing to sacrifice ourselves for this kid.
I'm coming for all of it.
Yes.
I'm coming for all of it. You thought you'd bring me on the show and press me about Dave Smith? You don't know who the fuck you're dealing with. You let in a fucking dragon, bitch. Imagine shooting a man with this last bullet, which actually happened to me. They came to my house. They tried to kill me. I'm still here. I'm still at this house. You know where to find me. You tried shooting with your last bullet, and I stand there unfazed. So bring it on. Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk. I'm coming for all of it. I'm going to fuck up your apple cart, and all the king's men are not going to be able to put it back together again.
It's
You
so
might kill me
hot.
in the process,
It's
but
so
you're
hot.
fucking done. Signed, America. That's my body.
How can
And
you not love
that's
this
me.
kid?
And that's my body. So that's that. That's all we got for you tonight. How long was this show? The show was like 3 hours again?
It's a long show.
I promise you, I'm not even,
Wow.
I'm just going live.
Nick
And I'm
is
just
inevitable.
going off.
Nick is inevitable.
All right, but that's our show. That's all I got for you tonight. But that's what it is. What time is it? Charlie Kirk says,
Yeah.
did you
I'm
see
like-
this clip?
I'm like,
He goes, your Generation Z sons have negative views about Israel. You need to tell them this. Time out. You
Yeah.
need to tell them time out. He said, if you feel like a loser, if you feel like your country's been destroyed, get a second job. Get a Hillsdale online course. Observe the Shabbos. He literally said this. I am hurtling towards you, full force, going nearly 90 miles per hour, weighing close to 1,500 pounds. I am hurtling towards you like a human missile.
Yes, this pump up the
To
volume too.
blow
You were
up
right.
this whole thing.
It is.
And you're telling Generation Z,
Nick
buy
is
a
pump up the
Hillsdale
volume,
course, get a second job, observe the Shabbos, go to Turning Point. Fuck you.
Yes!
You are not ready for this.
Oh.
You are not prepared for this. And I'll say it now like I did in 2017, the day after Charlottesville. A tidal wave of white identity is coming. And once word gets out, they will not be able to stop it. As I said, the day after Charlottesville, 8 years ago, prophetic. You think you're in control? Do you feel in charge? Who else we going to bring in? Elon, Tucker, Candace. You know what their next move is going to be.
Next fucking level, this kid. Next
It's been
level.
fun. It's been fun. It's been a good time. But pray for your boy. Because the problem is,
for
look,
Nick.
I've been doing this for a long time.
Protect this kid.
People watch the show. They're like, this show's great. I've been saying this for 10 years. All this stuff, I've been saying it for 10 years. That's why they locked me up. That's why they shut me down. The problem is I'm just saying it now to everybody. And they're going to make me pay. In one way or another, they're going to try and shut me down. They're going to try and make me pay. And I'm okay with that. You know? People are going to believe what they
Damn.
want to believe. Haters going to hate. People are going to talk. You know? They can hurt me if they wanted to. But I just can't help myself. So,
Real.
and that has multiple meanings. So that's that. But all right, but we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats, but pray for your boy, man. Pray for your boy. Because it's getting ugly out there. Make no mistake, they're coming for me. I have a giant target on my back for doing this because I'm the only one who else is saying this? People say this all the time. They're like, there's no other show that talks about this stuff. So that's that. But the energy never dies.
Yeah, he's going to be
But
doing
the
super
energy
chats
never
all
dies.
night. I'm gonna let him do
America
super
never
chats. I'm not going
dies.
to watch the super chats, so.
Groypers never die. All right, but we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats.
All right.
We'll see what you guys have to say.
All right, we're not going to do the super chats, guys. If you want to watch the super chats, I totally get why you would want to watch the super chats. Go over to Rumble and watch the super chats with Nick. He's going to be answering super chats all night. I just started watching the show right after he started streaming, and I was like, holy shit, there's nothing else I need to do right now. I just need to sit here and watch what Nick has to say. And so I was like, let's turn on the stream and do it as a community activity. So I appreciate everyone who came out to watch the stream tonight. Make sure you mount the like button, guys. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend my content to more people. Hey, I go live at 5 Monday through Friday. We're watching a documentary about the queers from the 90s tomorrow, so come back and watch it with us. We're not pro-queer, obviously. We study these people, but I study the radical revolutionary far left, and occasionally I talk about Nick Fuentes because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. And no matter what my relationship is like with the Groypers on any given day, my love for Nick is eternal. And it will never stop. And it doesn't matter that we disagree on Christianity, because we do disagree on Christianity. But my love for Nick is eternal, and nothing is gonna fuck with that. So I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. This is like a little bonus stream. We do Socialism Saturdays on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Subscribe to the channel. Come back. Hang out with us. We're pretty chill. But I appreciate everyone who came out tonight. Everyone who sent in a super chat. And I'm gonna go to bed. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you here? That's difficult to answer. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital? That's difficult to answer.